Hey guys, I'm Nurse Hyperion and welcome to the video. I wanted to make an introduction video telling you about me so you get an idea of who I am. So, who am I? My real name is Helen and I'm 28 years old. I currently live in the UK, but I'm moving to the USA in January, which is equally scary and very exciting. I'm happily married to JB Hyperion and has been for 3.5 years. I love playing games and meeting all new people. The most common question I get asked is, are you a real nurse? And the answer is yes, I am a registered nurse. Although I have had a changing career over the past couple of years, and we'll get to that in a bit. And now I actually work at Specsavers. I love my job, but I do miss nursing and caring for people. I have been caring for people since I was 12. I had to grow up very quickly because my mum had a motorbike accident. She's fine now, don't worry. In fact, even though she's been through a lot of shit in the last 15, 16 years, she's absolutely incredible. She's my idol, and if I'm half as strong as she is, I can get through anything. She is my hero and she's my inspiration. So, what was I like when I was younger? Honestly, not much different. I was a big old nerd who didn't have a lot of friends. I was bullied relentlessly from when I was 10 years old, all the way up until I was 19. I was made to feel bad about who I was, how I looked, how I was. I stopped talking to others. I sat away from everyone in an escape from reality. I was never good enough. That kept going until I was about 17. That's when I started coming out of my shell. I actually had to retake my first year of A-levels. I fucked it up quite royally. But it was what it was. When I was 18, I met JB Hyperion, and although he made me feel very special, I didn't feel I deserved him, and to a point, I still don't. I wanted to feel like I did, so I stopped eating. I did it to lose weight, and it worked. I went from 19 stone down to 14 in less than 8 months. I was eating 1 bite of a cheese straw a day. It's not good. But where I used to eat my feelings, I started drawing, singing and writing. And it was kind of a release for me. It kind of helped me to get out all of my feeling, all of my anger, all of my sadness. And it worked. And I still do that to this day. I still draw and sing, and it helps. In my second year of university of nursing, I was diagnosed with depression. I started on a medication called sertraline, and it was used to try and help control my moods. I went from feeling all of these sad and scary feelings to feeling absolutely nothing. No joy, no sadness. I didn't even get excited about anything anymore. And eventually I decided that feeling sad was better than feeling nothing. So I took myself off them. Please never ever do this. Always get advice from your doctor if you want to come off this medication. It may be that that medication is just not right for you. And coming off cold turkey is the worst thing you can do. I went through absolutely horrendous withdrawal symptoms. My mood got worse, and I did have suicidal thoughts. But the love and support that I had around me kept me going. And I did eventually graduate with a master's degree in nursing science in 2013. This is where shit hits the fan. Please know this is a trigger warning. This is my experience with my mental health illness. In 2015, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. I was specifically diagnosed with type 2, which is a much milder form of mood elevation involving milder episodes of hypomania, which is not full mania, it's a step down, and quite extreme episodes of severe depression. I also had a voice in my head. Well, he was by my left ear. He was kind of around this area. He wasn't a nice voice. He wasn't kind. He didn't have a name. He was very... He was very derogatory. He kept telling me that my relationship was going to break down. That I wasn't good enough. And that I was going to kill my patients. I hated going to work. Because that was when he was at his worst. The voice was there for 10 weeks before I told anyone, including my husband. And it all came out. I was at work one day and 2 patients that were under my care passed away. It was expected, and it wasn't my fault. But my brain just snapped. And I had a mental breakdown. Like a full-on mental breakdown. So I went to the doctors the next day. And I was immediately put on medication to help control the voice and to help control my mood. I was referred to the mental health crisis team, which is a team that most counties do have for people like I was, who are in mental health crisis. I was signed off work, and I effectively became homebound. I was scared to go out the house. I was paranoid when I had to, and I was very apathetic. I didn't care about me, about wanting to do anything with my life. I just wanted to sit and ponder. And it was like that for a good couple of months. My husband, much later on, when my mood was very much more improved, said that I'd become a shell of who I used to be. That I looked like me on the outside, but I was no longer me on the inside. And that was hard to hear that. To hear that I had changed so dramatically from who I used to be. I was off work for 9 months. They eventually got my medication right. In that time frame, I was also diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy. They didn't know how long I'd had it. There was a possibility that I'd had it from my teenage years, but it was never fully diagnosed. I had my first tonic-clonic seizure when I was about 20, and I was sitting in a lecture, quite happy, said to my friend, I really don't feel very well. And the next thing I knew, I was waking up in a room full of people with an oxygen mask on my face. And that was scary. And I went to the doctors and I said to them, look, I've brought somebody with me who witnessed what had happened. And he said it was just a vasovagal attack, which is a faint. He said I just fainted. So when I went to the doctor, when I went to the psychiatrist to speak to him about my mood and this voice in my head, he said, I'm very concerned about some of the symptoms you've been telling me, and I'm very concerned about why you haven't been tested in the past. And I was referred to a neurologist, and I was then diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy, which was a big shock. I'd been so healthy for so many years, and all of a sudden all of these problems were put upon me, which was tough. I spent years fighting against my demons, trying different medication. Some of it didn't work, some of it did for a short period of time. I had counselling not only with my psychiatrist. I had a lady from the early intervention psychosis team, which is a team that is dedicated to helping people that have psychosis. She came to my house every week, and she sat down and she taught me. She went through a lot of talking therapies. She would take me out to help expose myself to the outside world, because I was terrified of going out of the house. It was a major, major thing for me. I am what she called a worst case scenario anxiety sufferer. Even now, but it's a much lesser extent than it used to be. If I get in the car, then I get anxious that we'll crash and I die, killing not only me but anybody in the car. If I go shopping, I'm scared that something's going to happen, whether it be I get killed or my friend gets hurt, or sometimes it even goes to the extreme of a bomb going off. It does still continue, but I don't let it take over my life anymore. I don't let it affect me in the way that it used to. Now, when I was diagnosed with my epilepsy, the most unbelievable thing that I got told by my psychiatrist is that the medication that I was on to help my psychosis, the voice in my head, actually caused my seizure threshold to lower. Now, in a normal person, maybe, who's prone to epilepsy but not diagnosed, it would manifest itself with vacant seizures. I was already having vacant seizures quite regularly, and this meant that lowering my seizure threshold further actually caused me to have quite regular tonic-clonic seizures. Now, for those of you that don't know, a tonic-clonic seizure is something that most people associate with Now, for those of you that don't know, a tonic-clonic seizure is something that most people associate with epilepsy. So, people on the floor, unresponsive, stiff, shaking, something that in your mind pops, oh, okay, epilepsy. Unfortunately, that meant that I had more shit to deal with, which kind of sucked, but once again, it is what it is. Having this seizure threshold lowered, it meant that I had to take quite a lot more medication to deal with the symptoms of the medications that I was already taking. At my worst, I was on 20 tablets a day. It got very bad. I used to walk out of the pharmacy with a carrier bag. Usually you walk out with these little bags. I had a carrier bag. In around 2017, I started to be myself all the time again. I mean, I had periods during my worst times where I was me, I was happy, I was normal, I kind of turned into me, but it would always get worse again. But in 2017, I really started to be myself again. I started laughing quite freely, I smiled all the time, and I started to come out of my shell again. I was finally me, and I hadn't been me for several years, 4 years. Now, my bipolar is always going to be a part of me. It's always going to be there. I can now manage it, I can deal with it, and I can turn it around. It's a part of me, and I embrace that because it's made me who I am today. To anyone who has mental health conditions, to anyone out there who has mental health conditions, please, please hold on. Ask for help, try different methods for coping, and remember, there is a support network out there, although it may not seem like it at the time. I'll actually link a few groups in the description that I'm a part of that really helped me get through some of my darkest days. You're not alone. There is always someone to listen. There's always somebody there. And there is always somebody who cares, whether you know them personally or not. And I want you to remember that you can get through this. It is possible. No matter what, you're perfect just the way you are. And you are what you are. No matter what, you are just the way you are, and that makes you perfect. Flaws us all. No matter what you are, and that makes you perfect, flaws and all. You are not your illness alone. I am not bipolar. I am Helen, who happens to have bipolar. My illness doesn't make me, just as much as it doesn't make you. I'm actually coming off my meds now. In 12 months, I've more than halved my tablets. I'm down to 9 now, from 20. I still get anxious, but I face my fears head on. I'm not as scared anymore. I face my fears. I personally support Mind, which is a mental health charity in the UK, and Epilepsy Research UK as well. They do wonderful work helping to research and help people out there who have epilepsy and mental health conditions. And they both deal with both subjects because sometimes they can come hand in hand. Please guys, be kind to each other. Be understanding. Just because you feel great doesn't mean the person, your friend, your family member, the person standing in front of you feels great too. 1 in 4 people in the UK, 1 in 4 of us will be affected. 1 in 4 of us will be affected by mental illness. And getting help and admitting that is not a sign of failure. It's a sign of strength. And you are strong. I now stream on Twitch. The link's in the description if you fancy coming along to hang out. I am basically me again. I'm looking forward to meeting a whole bunch of new people, where at some point I would have been scared to do so. I know this has been emotional, and I thank you so much for sticking with me and coming to the end of the video. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. I look forward to getting more videos out for you in the future. Hopefully it won't be too long before I do that. Please stay safe and stay happy. I love you all. Bye.